Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Mr. Griffin.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Hey folks, Schwing Christian Snyder and me, this Jeffrey Griffin. It's Hooray for Hollywood with Frank Donaldson, magical musical moments, cookies with Santa Claus, plus a Kersey Valley Christmas, Love Out Loud and Christmas for the City, and the North Carolina Arboretum Winter Lights. That and a whole lot more on the next Triad Today. So long.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Again, St. Bede's story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
Hi everyone, Brian Kilmeade here. I'm so excited to bring the latest breaking news, sports, politics, and entertainment to High Point, to Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and beyond. So join me weekday mornings at 10 right here on your home for the Brian Kilmeade Show. News, talk, sports, the Triad, WS.
Waking Up Proud on WSJS. Fueling fans, flavor, and fun. Wake up, I'm trying to fence around. The morning show that's always on the prowl.
Make way for the king.
This is Waking Up Proud with Stephen Beck.
The Indianapolis Colts called a former NC State great, Phillip Rivers, got him off of his couch this last week. He's a grandpa. But should they have given a chance to another quarterback that actually does have ties to our state here in North Carolina? Was that a bad move? We're going to want to hear from you this morning here on Waking Up Proud on WSJS. I am Stephen Beck. The phone number right off the top is 336-777-1600. You can join me any point in the program because for the next couple of hours, it's just me and you talking things like this story we're going to get to around Phillip Rivers in sports. We're going to jump into some things out towards our North Carolina coast that I feel like you should know about, along with a couple of opportunities that we're going to be joined by Dave Pulaski to get some updates on high school football, as well as another great guest in App State head coach Dustin Kerns. All of that coming your way here on Waking Up Proud. I feel like this is a great connection between Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement, age 44, a grandfather, and the Indianapolis Colts. But I may be in a semi-minority. I've actually got a couple of people that I'm going to let you hear from that think this is a crazy idea. I don't. I think it's a great connection. That's being forced on the Colts because Daniel Jones, a former Duke great quarterback, got injured last week. And, of course, their other quarterback in the wings, Anthony Richardson, has had an up and down start to his career as well as some injuries. But Phillip Rivers, who was hanging out at home, he is, like I said, 44. He is a grandfather. He started having kids at age 19, way back when he was at NC State, where I was a fan. That probably builds into my opinion on this. I watched him when he was there with Freddie Autry-Lindsey and the Holt brothers, and man, those were good times. That's when I was in my ACC era. I've moved on from that now, but I still feel like them bringing a guy who's been out of football for 5 years. He had a chance to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, where if he does start this coming Sunday, that clock resets. I admire him for taking the chances, and I actually think that he's making the right decision, along with Shane Steichen, the head coach, and the Indianapolis Colts. But there's a couple other choices that were out there, and I'm going to let you hear from one of these guys, but I want to pitch the question to you as well as you wake up with us this Saturday. Roll out of bed, get started, jump on the phone with me. 336-777-1600. There's two guys that are honestly doing a lot of social media and hanging out, watching games, trying to still be in the news and the headlines. But this is all off the field in Colin Kaepernick and Cam Newton. Cam Newton, of course, had ties to our state here in North Carolina, being our Panthers quarterback, and I was a big Cam Newton supporter and fan as well. But at this point, I would still say that Phillip Rivers is a better selection over both of them. And I'm going to tell you why. But first, Cam Newton gave his thoughts this week on his 4th and 1 podcast when he heard that the Colts had called Phillip Rivers.
Did Phillip Rivers send any type of signs that he was available? Why you asking me to do something that everybody else didn't do? I ain't no lad, bro. Come on, bro.
He's retired. You ain't even retired.
I did not and will not because of an opportunity like this.
So Phillip Rivers is called off the couch. Cam Newton hanging out. He's 36 years old and last played for Carolina in 2021, so a year ahead of where Phillip was. And he thinks this is crazy, ridiculous that he didn't get a call first before my man Phillip. Colin Kaepernick, the other guy that I mentioned, he's back in the news today because it's been about 10 years since he did start taking the knee on the San Francisco 49ers sideline back in 2016 that really led to the downfall of his career. And both of these guys, you would possibly think, are younger. They're both certainly more mobile than Phillip, and they arguably have some lifespan left on their football career at that age, especially if you look at Aaron Rodgers today with the Green Bay Packers. You could also go back to Tom Brady when he was still in the league. I mean, these are all older guys that showed that they could still sling the ball around and run an offense, with the Packers actually winning this last weekend. So I don't necessarily lean into the age argument. Where I get to is I feel like it's more about having an NFL franchise run efficiently, run without chaos, run without a circus sideshow. Admittedly, Cam Newton did at least acknowledge that the Colts likely didn't want a Shedeur Sanders type of environment that the Browns currently have, where the media, the whole story is all about Cam and whatever antics he is doing. But that's exactly my point. The Colts don't need that right now. They're in a playoff hunt. Right now, they're 8-5. They're behind a couple other division foes in the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Texans. And so they're in a playoff push. More than likely, they need to win the wild card to get there. But the last thing they need is any kind of distractions that would be outside of the lines of the football field. And with Phillip, yes, he is a story. He is, I would say, the talk of the league. And I am more than intrigued over this and how this might play out coming up this Sunday. But given all of what I know about Phillip Rivers, his passion, his jaw talking, I'm of the mindset that, yes, he will create some news if he is able to pull this off at 44 years old and all the other things that's going against him. But that's going to be news and stories about what's happening inside the lines of the football field in a game. It's not going to be, oh, did Cam Newton have a towel draped over his head? Or did Colin Kaepernick have an afro on purpose and take a knee for any different reasons that you really want to dive into that I'm not about to? Now, there's another guy that disagrees with me here, and that is ESPN personality and former NFL safety Ryan Clark. He thinks that this too is a bad idea.
I don't give a care how much you hand it to Jonathan Taylor. I don't care how great you think your defense could play. Phillip Rivers should not be starting this game. And if he comes out and he plays well and he stays healthy, I'm not going to retract this statement because it is a bad decision to put him out there. And don't get me wrong. Somebody call me after 5 years and say you could play. I might go try to give him a play too. Phillip ain't wrong. Shane Steichen and
he thinks Shane Steichen, he thinks the Colts made the wrong move, not necessarily on Phillip because he's willing to, I guess they're alluding that he's doing this for the money. I don't buy that either. I really think that if I'm headed off in my chariot to a Hall of Fame induction and I know that he's got a lot of kids and I have 2 daughters myself, so I'm aware that there is an expense that's associated, a price tag with them. I'm not buying that for Phillip. He's not set up well enough right now in the financial category that this is more about that. I think it's more about his passion, his desire to still get out there with the boys. He's been trying to do that as a high school football coach, and that's part of it, I'm sure. But when you can actually hang out with the guys in the locker room, be a part of something like this playoff push, I think that's the desire for Rivers here. What I do find equally funny in Ryan Clark's comments on ESPN was that he says he's not going to go back and retract his comments if for whatever reason he's wrong in this. So, yeah, let's take an easy way out here, Ryan, and try to play both sides of the fence. I am firm in believing that the Phillip Rivers that played back in 2020 for the Colts will still be able to do this in 2025. That season, just to take you back there, it's been a while. He had an 11-5 regular season record that year. They did get to the playoffs, and he threw for over 4,000 yards, had 24 touchdowns, and a 97 passer rating. 5 years removed, all signs still point to the fact in practice that he's able to do this. Now, is this a reality? Can it really happen? Head coach Shane Steichen held a press conference getting ready for their game against the Seahawks coming up this weekend, and he praised Rivers, said that he had great command of the offense. Of course, his leadership is still there. But like any good NFL head coach would do, playing their chips close to the vest, and I would too, he declined to officially confirm whether Rivers would actually start coming up this weekend. I just know that for me, as much athleticism, abilities, natural God-given talents that a guy like Cam Newton or a guy like Colin Kaepernick, and you could bring up other names as well. Those two are the first on my list because they're sitting at home. They're on the couch. Exactly the place that Phillip was. Even though they have that God-given ability, I'd rather have Phillip. Out of 8 games played for the Panthers, for Cam Newton his last time out, 1-7 record. Yeah, I'll take a pass on that. And the show that goes with it. Well, this show's rolling along. Stay with us here. We'll be right back after the break on Waking Up Proud.
Merry Christmas from WSJS.
Merry Christmas to all the military and all the troops.
Merry Christmas to all the men and women in our armed forces that are serving overseas.
Merry Christmas out there. Be safe and God bless.
Take care of each other.
Merry Christmas to our troops overseas.
Merry Christmas to all of our troops.
God bless our servicemen overseas. We wish you all the best. Godspeed.
Merry Christmas, troops. We all support you back home. Hope you have a safe and happy holiday.
Merry Christmas to all of you from all of us at WSJS.
High Point University, the premier life skills university, is ranked the #1 best-run college in America by the Princeton Review. Employers value HPU's real-world preparation. Students love unprecedented access to global leaders on High Point's inspiring campus. And parents appreciate HPU's God, family, and country values. Choose to be extraordinary at High Point University.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? HIMS can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
Spartan Nation. When blue and gold pride fills the air.
The jumper, it is good!
Mount Tabor basketball on our sister station, AM 1340 and 103.5 FM, The Light.
Step back triple try, yes sir!
Spartans basketball, presented by Jerry Hudd Supercenter, the king of pre-owned vehicles in Lexington and Salisbury.
Lobs it up for a power slam dunk.
Mount Tabor basketball is also made possible by our friends at Play It Again Sports, with locations in High Point, Greensboro, and Winston-Salem. By Pat's Body Shop and Towing, providing exceptional service in the Triad for over 60 years.
Catching 2-3, rattles it down from the right wing.
Our proud sponsors help bring these games to life, like Dario Restaurants, where the whole family can taste the Dario difference every day. And by Haviland Express Lib and Service in Kernersville, where the road to greatness starts here.
Takes it to the hole, lays it in.
Mount Tabor basketball, full schedule at WSJS.com.
Where Carolina sports meets Carolina flavor. You're waking up proud with Stephen Beck.
Time to get rolling this morning. Waking up proud is where we're at here on WSJS. Thank you for joining us. I am Stephen Beck, and be sure you follow along with me. If you like this and you want more of it throughout the week, you can do that on X at Stephen Beck PS, also at Proud Sports, and our website is proudsports.com. That's PROWLED sports.com. Before I tell you and take you to our North Carolina coast, we have got some things to share with you about your chance to partner up with WSJS and The Light, our sister station. We've teamed up, and we want you to take part. Never mind. I'm told real quick that that's done, so X that. But we still want you to partner up with us on The Light and WSJS, and you can do that by listening to both of those stations, just like you're listening to Waking Up Proud. I'm being told. Thank you for everybody that took part in that. Well, I want to take you to the coast, where I have a big place in my heart of appreciation, of love, of adoration. I grew up in North Carolina during my summers, heading there and doing something with my grandfather that I loved and appreciated, that I'm sure there's a chance that you have done as well. And that is take out the fishing poles, head to a pier, cast it out, see what you get. And I'll tell you this, I might be the only place that you will hear this news that just recently came out here at the start of this month. I'm going to tell you, I think it's completely flying under the radar, but for me, this is big. Because of that past, because of that love of time I spent out there casting and retrieving and trying to catch things with my granddad, I am a big coastal fisherman at this point. And starting here at the beginning of this month, our state, North Carolina, decided to impose a new law. That law requires recreational anglers. This is big. This is like me and you, to begin reporting their harvest, their catches of certain fish species. It is of the ones that you would catch and keep. So at first sight, I thought for a second they were going to make me report each and every time I hooked one up, but they're not going that far. Instead, it is when you decide to catch, keep, likely, fillet, and cook, which I would not frown upon either, although I'm not a huge seafood guy. If you are doing that with flounder, red drum, spotted sea trout, striped bass, or gray trout, which I've never even heard of. So if you're reeling one of those bad boys in, then good on you. If you're doing any of the catch and keep with those fish types, then you got to start reporting it as of now. Their ways of reporting, fortunate for all, they're here in the 21st century with us and have an online form to do it. But for those like my granddad, who would have no idea how to submit a report via a phone, there's a paper reporting method as well. If you're doing it electronically, you got to report it as soon as your trip or your time fishing is completely over. If you're doing it by paper, you get at least until midnight the day after your trip is over. Now, if you followed this at all and you're like me and you enjoy fishing out on the coast, and my preferred species that I'm after is actually flounder. That is something that I enjoy bottom fishing for. You've already known that the past couple years has been a head scratcher and a very frustrating nightmare for those that do like to catch and keep. I'm more of a catch and release guy. I do it more for the sport, not for the dinner. But again, I understand those that love it and they want to take part in catching their meal for later in the evening. The past couple years, back starting in 2024, the whole season was closed. No chance. Can't catch and keep flounder. 100% certainty on that. This year, they lightened those restrictions just a hair. They decided for 2 weeks in September, fall fishing season, that the season would be open. You could catch and keep a flounder, at least one of those per day. Now, if you're not a coastal fisherman, if you're not like me, haven't had those experiences, don't hold it near and dear to you, this could still be something of interest because of the way that they're going about enforcing this. I am not a big red tape guy. I own businesses. I've started businesses. I've worked in and around places that require you to go through the methods and the steps that have a lot of those requirements and laws and legal portions tied to it. But I'll tell you, I think it's a big racket a lot of the times. I think that the way that they're enforcing this latest law on coastal fishing is it's right on the line of seeing almost worthless. This year, brand new year for this law, they're going to start by, coming out saying, hey, this is a verbal warning from me to you. You've made a mistake. You didn't report that catch. Next year, they've taken it nuclear now. They're going to hand you a written warning. Ooh, piece of paper. Finally, starting this time in a couple years, if you don't report, it's a $35 fine. Maybe they'll take your license away. Now, I'm not poking fun at the deeper reason at why they would want to report things like this. I'm not naive. I understand that making sure that we have a good, sustainable fishery is important. Where I completely disagree with this charade of care is what I'll call it. It's not a guy like me with one fishing line, throwing it out one or two at a time maybe, and trying to take in the great pastime, a really calming, opposite of my normal nature, if you can tell, activity to just catch some fish. even if I'm keeping it and filleting it up for a nice fried dinner later that night, or making tacos. I love tacos. I'd be all about that. I'm not the guy to worry about here. I'm not the one tearing down the fishery and getting rid of a comfortable amount of flounder or red drum or spotted sea trout or striped bass or whatever even a gray trout is. And I'm not going to necessarily blame the boats out there catching these species either. They've got jobs, they've got careers to do, and they already have regulations in place for them. This is just something that I feel like is trying to make somebody behind a desk a little more comfortable. It doesn't make me that way, albeit I'll still be fishing. We hope you'll enjoy it yourself. Just don't forget to report those things. We'll be right back here on Waking Up Proud with Dave Pulaski next.
This afternoon, WSJS presents the legendary Army-Navy game. This is no ordinary rivalry. It's cadets versus midshipmen, boats versus boots, an epic showdown. Hear the courage and celebrate the game live on WSJS. Anchors away, Army engaged. Champions of the field, defenders of the nation.
This is the battle cry.
Let the battle begin on WSJS.
It goes from zero to beautiful in just a whip. Foster Hobbs Coffee Roasters in High Point. A sip of heaven that took a right turn at delicious and landed in the hearts of coffee lovers everywhere. With its fresh specialty roasted beans crafted to order, each cup is a journey from smooth blends to global roast. Only Foster Hobbs could brew this kind of magic, and it's called coffee. Now available at fosterhobbs.com. Brew your bliss today.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, you would pay the mortgage and other bills.
Okay.
With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance.
Okay. How long were you thinking?
Coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at tryethos.
Yeah, let's go anywhere between 10 and 12. That should be fine.
Tryethos.com.
Awesome.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
From the mountains to the coast. Waking Up Proud keeps it Carolina on WSJS.
Back now on Waking Up Proud here on WSJS. Thank you for joining us this morning, a day after high school football in the state was happening, the playoffs last night, and we are joined by the voice of high school football and the game of the week usually here on WSJS, Dave Pulaski. Dave, what's up, man?
Games of the week this week, and games in a matter of about 12 hours. We wrapped up in Chapel Hill last night at around midnight after that Grimsley matchup against Clayton in the state championship game, drive back home to Winston, and then on our way out to Hickory this morning and getting set for an 11 a.m. matchup between Reedsville and Brevard for the state 4A title. So it's going to be a lot of fun here today, and that's what adrenaline's for, right?
That's right. And good coffee. I have a recommendation for you. Foster Hobbs coffee, the best beans that are out there. You get your morning started right, just like I did. Wanted to review the game from last night. It was Grimsley, the Whirlies, taking on Clayton, 24-14. Grimsley comes out champions again, second consecutive title for them. Walk us through that game. What was that like for the Whirlies?
Yeah, a bit of a tough start for Grimsley. Couldn't really get much going offensively. Clayton was able to strike first with Aiden Smalls, their star quarterback, who absolutely wrecked Cardinal Gibbons last week in the regional final, going for nearly 400 yards of total offense and 5 total touchdowns in that game. So Grimsley knew the task that they had ahead of them. And it's a Worley's defense that's been tremendous this year. They haven't allowed more than 14 points in a game since early September, absolutely dominating their foes. But Clayton got on the board first. But as we saw from Grimsley throughout the course of the season and throughout the course of what is now officially a dynasty, now that they've had back-to-back state championships, now they just don't get rattled by anything. Whenever they face adversity, whenever there are injuries, they just overcome it. They just come with the next man up mentality, next play mentality, and they're able to get the job done. They were without Ty Shoemake, who ran for 147 yards and a touchdown last week against Weddington, had the only offensive touchdown in that game against the Warriors in the regional final. They were without him. In steps Michael Williams, who started the year as the number 1 running back, ended up being the number 2. He runs for 101 yards in the state championship game against Clayton. And then you have the number 1 high school recruit in the country in Faison Brandon, Tennessee signee. And he was using his legs a lot to get into the open field. He was able to also use his arm, threw a nice touchdown pass on a slant to Hudson Cooper, who just muscled his way into the end zone. He had his hips wrapped by the tackler at the 3-yard line and just willpowered his way in to tie the game at 7. And then Faison Brandon got a little bit of a push and help from his star tackle, Nick Kashabara, who's going to App State, to help put the Whirlies up 14-7. Then a pick 6 in the third quarter by Makai Yan put him up 21-7. And from there, it was pretty much out of reach.
Now, I am not the biggest guy in terms of knowledge when it comes to high school football. That's why I turn to you, Dave, and trust that you'll be able to guide me this way. The Whirlies jumped from 4A to 7A, as I understand it, with regards to the level of competition. So does that make this championship from last night that much more impressive?
They just reclassified everything. So instead of having 4 classifications with lots of schools bunched together, they kind of spread it out a little bit. So what you had was basically 7A was a matchup of 2 4A schools from last year, Clayton being in 4A and Weddington also being a 4A school. So it just kind of streamlined the process and kind of stretched it out a little bit in terms of how the classifications are broken down. Fewer teams, but still a long playoff run. You had 48 teams in the playoff bracket in 7A. So teams really had to earn their way through, still had to play 5 playoff games in order to win the title. So by any stretch and by any means, it's still an impressive run by the Whirlies, who now have won back-to-back championships, one of the few triad schools to ever do that.
Guys like me in the locker room, the talk has been heavy on college football with their playoff. So your description here of the reclassification kind of jumps this in my brain to wonder, does the high school level have the playoffs set up better than what we're dealing with in the college game right now?
Yeah, I mean, you wonder if that's the way to go, right? Well, let's put it this way. Let's not have different discussions over guaranteed conference champions and who's doing this and who's doing that and who's the top ranked of the lesser conferences. It's a free-for-all in high school, and that's what makes it fun, right? As it turns out this year, a lot of the top-seeded teams ended up making it through. We only had a couple of Cinderella runs during these playoffs, getting all the way to the championship game. And ironically, it was in the same class. It was in 3A where Kinston was able to get into the championship as a number 14 seed, and they took on another double-digit seed in the finals. So, a lot of the teams already had first-round buys in the playoffs. So I think it was structured right this year. We were wondering how it would end up playing out with 8 classifications instead of 4. But I think this year has been a rousing success. You've had a lot of the blue blood teams like the Grimsleys, like the Reedsvilles, getting back into the state title game. But then you have other schools like Clayton, who hadn't been there in 36 years, or Brevard today. They hadn't been to the state championship game since 1982, and they get an opportunity here today. So it's a nice mixture of the old and the new, and some of the reborn schools getting opportunities to win championships.
Coming up, as you already mentioned, following this show here on WSJS, you will be a part of the broadcast for Reedsville versus Brevard. So I want to look to that game. Reedsville coming in 12-2. This is their 29th appearance, it looks like, in a title game, that being a state record. And then you've got Brevard, the Blue Devils, undefeated this season, coming in 14-0. I don't know if you're able to give us a favorite of yours in this one, kind of take a look and tell us what you think might be the outcome.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup. And, we talk about some of the higher seeded teams getting into the championship game. It's not always where we get the number one seed in each region facing off in the finals. So a really fascinating and intriguing matchup. Reidsville coming out of the East bracket, they've been absolutely hot during the last several weeks. They had kind of a slow start to the season. They got shut out by Reagan in week 3. That snapped a scoring streak of nearly 400 games that went back to 1997. But after that, they got on a roll, and Reidsville became Reidsville once again. They have a couple of game-breaking superstars. Kendra Harrison is the best tight end in the country, according to the recruiting rankings. He signed with Oregon recently. Deontay Neal, he is a tremendous all-around player. Started out as a freshman defensive back, one of the leaders in the country in interceptions. He has since added to his offensive game. He can step in at quarterback. He can be a receiver. He's still a terrific defensive back as well. So those two guys who have won state championships in basketball, now trying to win multiple state championships in football and really cement their legacy in Reidsville lore.
Dave Pulaski, the voice of high school football here on WSJS, joining us on Waking Up Proud. For Reidsville, is it more impressive, or would it be more probably stand out if they are in the championship title game or if they're out of it?
It's more surprising when they're not in it at this point. I mean, they call themselves the football capital of North Carolina, and for good reason. When you win 23 state championships, you have a reason to boast that. And last year, they were the odds-on favorite to make it to the 2A championship game. They got upended in the second round, and we were absolutely stunned. We thought there was no way that Reidsville was going to go anywhere short of the championship round with the team and the players that they had. But that's the way the playoffs go sometimes. You just never know what might happen from a week-to-week basis. But this year, a bit of a redemption tour for them, getting into the championship game for the second time in 3 years. But they're taking on a feisty Brevard squad. Like we said, first time in 39 years that they have been in this situation, but also undefeated on the season. So it's going to be a really tough out, really great matchup here at Lenoir-Rhyne.
Well, Dave, I appreciate you getting up and taking the extra trip this week here on WSJS to call a second game of the week. Reidsville, Brevard, following this program. We look forward to hearing from you then, and we'll let you go so you can get set and ready.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. That game following us here on WSJS, Brevard, Reidsville, Dave doing hard work out there covering both ends of the state, traveling across, and I will try to hook him up with the right coffee so he's jumping and springing out of bed like it seems to me. I'll be honest, I'm a learner when it comes to high school football, and some of the players, the places that they've been recruited, that they're going to, really impressive. I being somebody that follows college football a lot closer, I would say that Faison Brandon, the quarterback of Grimsley, with that championship last night, that name is one that I am aware of and knew. But man, there's tight ends going to Oregon. There's other running backs that are set and ready to play. In fact, it sounds like Brandon got a push from maybe it was a tush push. I should have asked Dave, but he got a push from one of his teammates that's headed to App State next year. So the talent level really impressive that way. I've got a guy that might know high school football better than me, and that is DJ, who does all the imaging here. Makes me sound a lot prettier than I am. DJ, thanks for waking up this morning, hanging with me.
I woke up proud.
That's right. That's what you need.
A really interesting note on Reidsville. Eric Teague is the coach. He was the son of the former coach who led Reidsville through all those state championships. The first year that he took over the team, they won the state championship. First year. And then they had the thing that happened last year where they went out in the second round. But Eric's got this team rolling once again back in the state championship game. And as Dave said, it's more surprising, not normal, feels odd when Reidsville is not part or involved in the state championship game.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been around locker rooms enough, coaches enough. I don't care what level it is. If you're able to build a dynasty like Reidsville has and these coaches, you're doing you're doing something right, and that is impressive no matter where it is.
Oh, yeah.
Looking to keep you impressed here on Waking Up Proud. Be sure to stay with us. We'll be back.
The Drive with Josh Graham.
A clip goes viral of me lighting up the commissioner while holding a plate of egg roll bites. Hey, Josh Graham here. Hope you're enjoying a busy sports weekend, which includes the start of Bowl Week, Army, Navy, and of course, the Carolina Panthers facing the New Orleans Saints. That means there's going to be a lot for us to recap on Monday's show, and we hope you're with us. 3 to 6 p.m. Monday afternoon. It's The Drive on WSJS.
High Point University, the premier life skills university, is ranked the #1 best-run college in America by the Princeton Review. Employers value HPU's real-world preparation. Students love unprecedented access to global leaders on High Point's inspiring campus. And parents appreciate HPU's God, family, and country values. Choose to be extraordinary at High Point University.
Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina is a nonprofit organization that has served the local community since 1926. Through the sales of donated items, they fund employment and training programs to help people find hope, opportunity, and jobs. Goodwill Industries has provided services to 26,000 people in the last year. The good they do is because of you. Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. Online at goodwillnwnc.org.
Hi, I'm Michael from the War and Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
So this new dose is, nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-791-1313. That's 800-791-1313.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Your city, your teams, your morning.
When I wake up, I put a smile on my face.
This is Waking Up Proud with Stephen Beck.
Thanks for joining us this morning. I am Stephen Beck, and this is Waking Up Proud on WSJS News, sports talk of the Triad. Be sure to follow us, WSJS.com, as well as ProudSports.com. That's PROWLED sports.com, the home for more blogs and podcasts and all things that'll keep you entertained throughout the week. I'm entertained by this next story. The aura, it's gone from Raleigh. Today, I am looking forward to a matchup taking place 5 p.m. I'm a big college basketball fan. Maybe you are too. NC State hosts number 19 Kansas in Raleigh at the Lenovo Center. And it's actually the first time that the Jayhawks have visited Raleigh since 94-95 season. Both teams coming in 7-3 on the season. NC State coming off of an impressive win against Liberty recently. They're 6-0 at home. So that's a good benefit to be hosting the Jayhawks here. Will Wade, great addition for the Pac basketball program during the offseason. I feel like he is the right guy When he came over from McNeese State, he was joined by a manager by the name of Amir Ora Khan. Now, Amir, or Ora as they called him at McNeese State, became super popular last season, and even more so in the NCAA tournament when McNeese made their run and showed up with Amir at their side. Why he became uber popular is still strange for me. I don't exactly understand, but for those that may have never heard of Amir Khan, he was basically a manager that during McNeese State's walkout onto the floor or entrance for the game would carry a big, large, oversized boombox, one like you used to actually have in the 90s. And they would, jive and bounce and do their thing as they entered onto the floor. Ora leading the team at the front. Out of this, people started loving to make Amir part of the story for McNeese State. He became so much the story that he was able to sign and secure an NIL deal, which has been reserved up to that point strictly for players, and maybe some coaching staffs have that, but certainly not a manager. Now, I shared first edition of Waking Up Proud last Saturday, and I'll share again now. I have a storied background. I do. My background being a High Point University alum, hence the name Waking Up Prowled, and Prowler being the mascot of my beloved Panthers. Part of my time there, I worked with the men's basketball team. My job for about a year and a half was to be a manager. Never in my wildest imagination or dreams would I personally have ever expected a manager to be pushed to the forefront, kind of like the limelight is on this person. And never in my wildest dreams would I ever feel like I would be paid, really honestly, to do that job. Now, if you want to say payment can come in other forms, like, some free swag, or, I got to go on some really cool trips. Preseason NIT out in Seattle, Washington as a part of that High Point basketball program in my day. That was cool. And if you want to say that that's a form of payment, sure. There's certainly a monetary value to that. But this is different for Amir Khan. He was getting, some checks cleared based off of being just a guy carrying a boombox. So when Will Wade left McNeese State, jumped to becoming the head coach at NC State, from all angles, even Amir's social media, it was pretty clear that Ora was going with him. I'm taking the trip, moving my allegiance to the pack, and I am going to do, I guess, the same things I was doing with McNeese State in, I don't know, maybe he's a manager, but more like a mascot. Well, that's over now in Raleigh. Ora's gone. He is no longer a part of the Wolfpack program. I'll tell you, the Waking Up Proud show, i.e. me, being me, reached out to try to see if we could get Ora on the program because I was curious, why leave Raleigh? Now, the first reports came out and said, well, he couldn't arrange or arrive at an agreed upon NIL deal at NC State. Then later, some things came out and said, no, that's not really the real reason. But what the result is the same, and that is that Ora went back to McNeese State. He's not in Raleigh. He's not with Will Wade. He's not with the Wolfpack, and he won't be there today when NC State takes on Kansas. Now, does that really matter? I'm going to say, as a former NC State fan, but likely expecting if you're an NC State fan, you would agree, and that is no. It's not even on the floor, doesn't coach the guys. I hope that he was doing what managers should be doing to assist, but I'm not even sure that that's the case. More than likely, he became more of just like a lucky rabbit's foot or a mascot and was just there for the show. Our lines are open, 336, I should say, 777-1600. Be curious to know NC State fans' thoughts on Amir Khan not still being a part of the program today. But from my experience, being a manager, being in and around the locker room, the last thing that you really want is attention on you. In fact, when I was there, if for some reason I became part of the story, then something was wrong. That meant that, film didn't get recorded the right way during a game. That meant that, during practice, somebody fell, they slipped, they went down, and the floor didn't get cleaned up and wiped up the right way. That meant the guys didn't have their lockers set up the right way to be able to take the floor on time. So now coaches are upset, players are upset. I'm here to tell you the last thing that you really desire if you're doing the job that it's supposed to be is to be in the limelight and be the center of attention, like Aura became. I was at a High Point University practice, I should say, earlier this offseason, and I recall getting a lump in my throat, a feeling in my stomach of unsettledness, because all of a sudden the coaching staff looked around and their support staff, these managers, were nowhere to be seen. They had all just kind of left and departed. And ironically and funny enough, those support members of the program do a job that needs to be applauded and celebrated. And at this stage in college basketball, a lot of times you actually do see that more often than when I was around. Now these managers will play games against each other. There's ways that when it's their birthday, coaches will recognize them. I see it all over the place, and that's something that I would be appreciative of and am as a former manager or student assistant in that place. But man, when those guys were not there to wipe the floor or to have the balls and the other mechanisms needed for organized practice in the right place, and the coaches are looking around and they're scratching their head and they're wondering where'd everybody go, that gave me a lump in my throat. My guess is, in NC State's case here, as they get prepped and ready to play Kansas later, my guess is that Amir being there or not doesn't mean anything different. In fact, they've probably stumbled upon some other managers willing to actually do the job that is asked of them in the right ways and manners to prepare the team and assist where they need to. And the story isn't at all about them like it was becoming for Amir Khan. Crazy to me that anybody would be handing out pesos for this guy to carry a boombox and become a mascot. I just don't understand it. We've got a ton on the way for our second hour of Waking Up Proud, just like the PGA Tour being handed a gift. And I really hope that they put their egos away and they don't take that for granted. We've got App State head coach Dustin Kerns joining us on the program to get set and ready as the Mountaineers just came off of a win over the ECU Pirates. But next up, they take on my beloved High Point University Panthers on Sunday. And as you should, or I hope are aware, we carry Mountaineer Talk here on WSJS, so you can catch that throughout the week. We've got more news coming from our state here in North Carolina. Out towards the coast again, I take you, and it's becoming flooded, but probably not for the reasons that you would think it is. Plus more on the way. Stay with us. Get started for your Saturday with me, Steven, on Waking Up Proud.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Mr. Griffin.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Hey folks, join Christian Snyder and me, this Jeffrey Griffin. It's Hooray for Hollywood with Frank Donaldson, magical musical moments, cookies with Santa Claus, plus a Kersey Valley Christmas, Love Out Loud and Christmas for the City, and the North Carolina Arboretum Winter Lights. That and a whole lot more on the next Triad Today. So long.
I went to My Computer Career because I needed job security.
Because I wanted a career in cybersecurity.
I went to My Computer Career because IT jobs are everywhere.
My old job was going nowhere.
I went because I didn't want college loans for the rest of my life. Because I wanted a career for the rest of my life.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Classes available online or in person. Financial aid available for qualified students, including the GI Bill. 529 college savings plans accepted.
Not available in Washington State.
In a world that moves a million miles a second, Haagen-Dazs invites you to slow down and savor every delicious bite. Take it one almond at a time with a Haagen-Dazs Vanilla Milk Chocolate Almond Bar. Madagascar vanilla, rich milk chocolate, and toasted California almonds make this unmatched icon legendary. Whatever Dazs you savor, a snack bar or your favorite flavor, say goodbye to the fast life and hello to savoring the finest ingredients and the richest and creamiest ice cream. That's Dazs, available at retailers nationwide.
Start your day with America in the Morning, your daily radio news magazine. I'm John Trout, and weekday mornings we'll bring you the top stories and latest breaking news from our correspondents around the country. You'll get sports highlights, a business update, the nation's weather, the Hollywood Minute, and much more. So join us right here.
America in the Morning, weekday mornings at 6 on News Talk Sports for the Triad, WSJS.
From coast to coast, you already know.
News, talk, and sports done right. WSJS, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, Burlington. Online at WSJS.com. Some people tune in for the latest news, others for talk, sports, or weather. Now, with WSJS.com, you can have it all. Listen live worldwide, discover your favorite show hosts, and get the latest concert info. Join our contests, catch live appearances, and support our sports teams. Don't miss out on being part of the action. Visit WSJS.com and experience the best in news, talk, sports, and weather. It's all here, just a click away. WSJS.com, where the triad connects.
It's pure delight to sip your morning brew and soul-soothing to savor every drop. Thanks to Foster Hobbs Coffee Roasters, where every small batch is roasted to order, crafting flavors that dance on your palate. From smooth everyday blends to bold single origin roast, each cup is a journey around the globe. Fresh, flavorful, and fulfilling. Elevate your coffee experience at Foster Hobbs Coffee Roasters in High Point. A higher quality coffee serving a higher calling. Available at fosterhobbs.com.
The holidays are here, and so is the stress. But don't let car troubles add to it. Pat's Body Shop and Towing on Country Club Road in Winston-Salem is covering all deductibles up to $500. That's right, up to $500 off your repair bill. Whether it's a fender bender or major fix, Pat's Body Shop and Towing is covering all deductibles up to $500. But hurry, this incredible offer ends December 31st. Just present your insurance estimate to the front desk. Visit pats-bodyshop.com today and drive into a new year stress-free.
What if, instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you could choose one bank that's the best of both? That's First Horizon, with big bank reliability and small bank resolve. You get 160 years of financial strength and stability and an enduring commitment to personal service. When the best of big meets the best of small, you get it all. To help you on the road to your horizon. First Horizon Bank. Visit firsthorizon.com/getitall.
Waking Up Proud on WSJS. Fueling fans, flavor, and fun. The morning show that's always on the prowl.
Make way for the king.
This is Waking Up Proud with Stephen Beck.
Ah, yes, it is Waking Up Proud, and I am Stephen Beck. Thank you for joining us to get your Saturday off to a great start. We appreciate you here on WSJS and throughout the week, a part of the Proud Sports family at ProudSports.com. That's PROWLED sports.com. Like I said, I'm here this morning getting you set and ready for your Saturday ahead, and this is what is hot off the prowl.
Hot off the prowl with Stephen Beck.
The Carolina Panthers control their own destiny. That is right. After a Thursday night game, I'm sure you probably heard a decent amount of that with Josh and Will on the drive here on WSJS. But they have a chance to make the playoffs if they just do their job and win a couple of games here at the tail end of this season. Grimsley beats Clayton last night 24-14. They win their championship in the 7A division. Reedsville takes on Brevard, though, coming up here right after this show on WSJS. And Dave Pulaski will have that call. Plus, today is warmer. We got a high of 54 degrees right now outside. It's beautiful out there. Sitting right in the 30s at the moment, 33, but crippling winds and chills with those is headed towards our direction for tomorrow and Monday. And so we've got that to look forward to. But right now, we could all potentially dream or think of a warmer time. And a lot of times when it is warmer out there, I'm hitting the links. I love to get out, play some golf. And the PGA Tour is something that I also enjoy watching. Haven't ever gotten into live golf. But I'll tell you that live has some serious things to be concerned about. One of those is that a player that they went out and dropped reportedly $130 million for, might be defecting. He might be headed back to the PGA Tour. And I feel like this is a gift. And you know what they say about getting gifts? I'm hopeful that the PGA Tour can try to put egos aside. I think it's going to be hard. I realize that there's been a lot of damage done. Guys like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas. Not so much Scotty Scheffler. He hasn't been as outspoken, but definitely Rory has gone out, been kind of the forefront of the PGA Tour voice, and said, we got to stand against this, live golf. He's retracted some of those statements. But this week, some new reports came out suggesting that Brooks Koepka may not play on the LIV Tour coming up in the 2026 season. There is some speculation that says he could potentially just skip the whole upcoming LIV season altogether. Interesting from my perspective, because that means he gives up $20 million at the drop of a hat, just like that. But when you've signed originally for $130 million, what's a few mil between friends? I don't know exactly all the ins and outs why Koepka might make that decision, but I have a hunch. And I'm going to share that with you in a second. But the news that could just be rumors and a dream scenario for a guy like me that wants all the best players back on the PGA Tour is becoming more and more like a real possibility after LIV's golf CEO said that he could neither confirm or deny who exactly, what players exactly would be competing on the tour this year. It's in their bylaws. Their MO is to not share that information. So the speculation remains just to be speculation. But for me, Brooks Koepka back on the PGA Tour, a John Rahm back on the PGA Tour, Bryson DeChambeau back on the PGA Tour. All of those guys, if I am the tour, I open up my arms and welcome them back without question, almost. Now, that's hard to believe when the PGA Tour is somewhat in the driver's seat right now. Yes, there were, stories out that, LIV and the PGA Tour, they might come to an agreement and they might actually unite. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that was more so they could get out of courtrooms and litigation. Instead, what I think is going to end up happening is that eventually the players that are worth their weight in the gold being spent decide that this whole laissez-faire, lackadaisical tour and tournaments that we're playing for LIV really isn't all that great. The money's great, but don't forget, all of these guys, to get to the place that they're at right now, professional golfer, means that they went through the ringer coming up, because golf is, yes, mental. You don't have to ask me that. The second guy with that mulligan is always a better player than the first, and that's a mental thing. But it's also extremely rigorous from a physical standpoint. I'm talking repetition after repetition. Just go out and read Tiger's books and how he went through drills after drills trying to get to the place where he eventually got. And I would love to see Tiger get back there too, but he's a walking ambulance. For Brooks Koepka, he's one of those guys. It took so much for him to get to professional golf that he thrives off of real competition. None of this fake stuff, none of this, let's go out and knock a few around with the boys and everything's cool because I've already got the paycheck, and wins, losses, they don't really matter. Brooks Koepka, is a 5-time major champion who, if you'll recall, plays his best golf when it comes to a championship, when it comes to things actually being on the line. John Deere Classic, maybe not. U.S. Open, yes, absolutely. Koepka's there for it. And so a guy that clearly rises for the most competitive golf that you can play thinks that LIV, honestly, is just a big joke. And I think ultimately that will lead guys like a Rahm or like a Koepka or like a DeChambeau to realize that there's more to all of this than that money, that big paycheck. Yes, that caught their attention. Yes, that got them to defect originally, but it doesn't hold the attention. Fred Couples, who I am also a big fan of, there's nobody out there that has a swing like Freddie, spoke with KJR Radio back in March and said that Koepka, quote, wants to come back. I will say that I believe he really wants to come back and play the PGA Tour. So you may ask, you may say, well, why would the tour, for a guy that's just defected, ran off, got his big payday, and now wants to come back, why should they, Stephen, want to open up their doors and say, hey, buddy, hey, pal, come on back. You kind of treated us dirty. You left us high and dry. I'm a guy like Rory or Justin. I've stayed with the tour. Yeah, they've got some things they got to figure out there. Honestly, it's akin to me like a car that goes and diverts real quick to the breakdown lane when you're stuck in traffic, and they fly down the breakdown lane, get up to the front of the line, and now all of a sudden they want to kind of wedge their way in on the highway. Everybody knows that car. Yeah, when I'm behind the wheel, that car is got no chance of sliding in on me. I'm good. You're going to have to stay over there. You're going to have to wait. Now, honestly, that is semi the way it has to feel for these guys that stayed with the tour, seeing a guy like Koepka or DeChambeau or whoever else may be next trying to come back. They've gotten their payday. Now they want to come back. Do we just let them in? I think so. Because the PGA Tour has its own problems. They may want to act like they're completely in the driver's seat and nothing at all is to be concerned about. Yeah, hey, that little LIV redheaded stepchild tour over there, that's not a concern to us. But really, the concern for them should be more inside their own tour, their own events. I feel like they are not having enough players on a weekly basis to capture attention spans like mine, who does like golf, that's already stretched immensely thin to begin with. Scotty Scheffler's about the only name out there. He won 6 times on the tour this last year, which is remarkable, and that's awesome. I love Scotty. But I feel like, man, let's open up the doors. Let's get more of these guys back, and let's enjoy them back on the tour. We got more on the way. It's Waking Up Proud. Good morning.
The Drive with Josh Graham.
A clip goes viral of me lighting up the commissioner while holding a plate of egg roll bites. Hey, Josh Graham here. Hope you're enjoying a busy sports weekend, which includes the start of Bowl Week, Army-Navy, and, of course, Carolina Panthers facing the New Orleans Saints. That means there's going to be a lot for us to recap on Monday's show, and we hope you're with us. 3 to 6 p.m., Monday afternoon. It's The Drive on WSJS.
High Point University, the premier life skills university, is ranked the #1 best-run college in America by the Princeton Review. Employers value HPU's real-world preparation. Students love unprecedented access to global leaders on High Point's inspiring campus. And parents appreciate HPU's God, family, and country values. Choose to be extraordinary at High Point University.
Who were Daniel's Christmas disciples?
This is True Commentary with Stu Epperson, author and host of Truth Talk Live.
Did you know that centuries before the Magi ever showed up in Bethlehem, Daniel, the godly Magi, wrote about a stone in chapter 2 of Daniel, a sun in chapter 7 of Daniel, and a star in chapter 12. You see, he had godly influence. He purposed in his heart centuries before. He stood for Christ, and he talked about the first coming of Christ. They saw the star, and then they met the star. Thank God for his divine assembly line. God used Daniel, and God could be using you today in someone else's life. Point them to Jesus, because he's the star of Christmas, and he's the star, the morning star of the whole world. Who helped bring you to Christ? Call them today and thank them for their influence in your life.
Join Stu on radio, social media, and his daily Truth Talk Live podcast. Learn more at truthnetwork.com.
Spartan Nation.
Swish! He hit it!
When blue and gold pride fills the air.
The jumper, it is good!
Mount Tabor basketball on our sister station, AM 1340 and 103.5 FM, The Light.
Step back triple try, yes sir!
Spartans basketball, presented by Jerry Hudd Super Center, the king of pre-owned vehicles at Lexington and Salisbury.
Lobs it up for a power slam dunk.
Mount Tabor basketball is also made possible by our friends at Bobo's Deli and Grill, your pregame meal stop by the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds, where public ice skating is happening now.
Heads into three, rattles it down from the right wing.
Our proud sponsors help bring these games to life, like Northwest Ace, The Healthful Place, Measure Twice, Shop Once, and by Mrs. Haynes Moravian Cookies, hand-rolled, hand-cut, and baked with love.
Takes it to the hole, lays it!
Spartan Grit, Spartan Glory.
Wide open three, right wing, he's got it!
Mount Tabor basketball. Full schedule at WSJS.com.
Your weekend mix of sports, flavor, and fun with Stephen Beck.
Sunshine, I'm coming out swinging. It's time, you better believe it.
Waking Up Proud on WSJS.
Back. Thank you for joining us this morning on WSJS. It's Waking Up Proud, and I am Stephen Beck. I hope you'll follow along with me throughout the week on X at Stephen Beck PS. That's where this show is also streamed every Saturday, as well as on YouTube. That's the YouTube for Proud Sports. And you can connect with us also by going to ProudSports.com, where we have blogs and other podcasts, which in fact, this show is also on all the podcast streams out there, like Spotify and like Apple. Just search Waking Up Proud. Earlier, we took you to the coast of North Carolina, and I shared with me something I enjoy doing. It's getting out there with a rod and reel, cast away. Man, that's part of the beauty of our coastline. But I have a concern and a fear as somebody that does like to go out there and enjoy myself, a native North Carolinian. And that is that our NC coast is getting flooded right now. And it's probably not the way that you would think. Our coastline had been some of the best kept secrets out there. And now all of a sudden you look up, and I like development. I, again, really enjoy building businesses and coming up with new things. And for the area of North Carolina at the coast that I enjoy going to, which is Oak Island, North Carolina, I have seen it over my lifespan go from halfway, maybe less, but halfway trailer park covered to now they've got Publix and they've got Jersey Mike's on the island. At one point, the only chain on the island was Dairy Queen, and now it's exploded. There's tons of stuff popping up, including, it is an island, mind you, very little place left to develop, build houses. Property rates have skyrocketed. Well, all of that is happening in part because of things just like this. According to Business Insider, retirees now have a new hot spot for their retirement. Snowbirds is a thing that has been around for a long time, and those snowbirds used to be coming from the northeast during the cold parts of the year, just like right now, and they would zoom down past us in North Carolina, headed straight for Florida. And now, all of a sudden, they're taking a hard left detour turn to North Carolina. Business Insider says that North Carolina now is the place for retirees. No longer Florida. It's our coast right here in this state. And why? Well, the milder climate and temperatures for all the 4 seasons. Yes, you don't go to Florida and just start thinking about it and immediately bake. It's quieter, people are saying, less traffic and less crowds in the beach towns, or at least to this point, it has been that way. While the housing market and the ways of developing have shrunk tremendously, where I had already previously mentioned in Oak Island, still for Northerners accustomed to their cost of living, North Carolina is cheap. It's low cost. And they're finding out that, if we don't go all the way down to Florida, we're actually still closer to our family in the Northeast. And so, let's just pump the brakes once we get right past the Mason-Dixon line. We'll pull here, and that is where they've landed. On top of it, Google says that the most beautiful travel destination in the United States, this came out from Southern Living, that's the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So now, moving up the coast a little bit from where I just had already mentioned. North Carolina emerging as a must-visit food destination according to Eater in the 2025 Eater Awards, whatever that is out there. Places in Charlotte and Raleigh. So my question is this good? Is this good for our state here in North Carolina? At first sound, it all sounds good. These are accolades, awards, and things that are great. The most beautiful place to travel right here in our state within driving distance from where I'm sitting right now. That sounds like good news. And ordinarily for North Carolinians, it would be good news. I don't know. I've got concerns about overpopulation, really, especially in some of these areas that just traditionally speaking haven't been accustomed to the influx of traffic and people and all this stuff all of a sudden. So we talked about earlier regulations coming from the state here in North Carolina over how many fish you catch and keep because they're worried about the species population underneath the waves. I'm personally a little bit more worried about the species population up above the water level, where I'm trying to get to an emergency room if I have to. I can't get there because roads are blocked with all sorts of traffic, and people are finding out that all of a sudden North Carolina is the place to be and hang out and live. If you go to a beach and it has become dramatically different from when you started, I'd love to hear about your stories there. 336-777-1600. That's the phone line. I'll jump you right in here and you'll hang and talk with me this morning. But for me, like I said, when I started out, it was a destination opposite of, let's say, Myrtle Beach, or opposite maybe a Miami, or opposite maybe even where you go and see Mickey and Disney and visit Orlando. I mean, all those places are cool and great, and they had activities, they had things to do, places to go, restaurants to eat at. And through the influx of people, this new trend, now all of a sudden, North Carolina does reap some benefit with that. That means that more developers see this as ideal places to put their dollars, put their efforts. Infrastructure and things like that, if done the right way, I think is great. But my concern is that you take places not prepared, underprepared, and all of a sudden the demand is increased to the point where it's a pressure on everything. There could be traffic congestions. It could be public transport systems, emergency crews, decaying things that just, they can't be kept up because the scramble is on. All of a sudden, influx of traffic and people come flooding into our state. And it caught me a little bit by surprise that the place where, according to Business Insider, people are landing, Calabash, North Carolina. I've been there. They got some good restaurants. Golf courses, I already said I really like to get out and swing the sticks. That is for certain. But, man, we got to be careful here. I'm worried. As a North Carolinian, I'm trying to protect this place, keep it the best secret I can. Coming up next, we're with Dustin Kerns, App State's head coach, right here on Waking Up Proud.
This afternoon, WSJS presents the legendary Army-Navy game. This is no ordinary rivalry. It's cadets versus midshipmen, boats versus boots, an epic showdown. Hear the courage and celebrate the game live on WSJS. Anchors away, Army engaged. Champions of the field, defenders of the nation.
This is the battle cry.
Let the battle begin on WSJS.
Atlantic Coast Sports is pretty awesome. It is a gym right there, City Hall Street in Mount Airy. It's not just one thing. It's 3 levels. It's college sports apparel. It's sports equipment that you can purchase. It's custom embroidery. It's batting cages. It's golf simulators. It's a restaurant as well. Shout out to the Yard Goat, and also shout out to our friends Derek and Wes out that way at Atlantic Coast Sports. Online, AtlanticCoastSports.com.
It goes from zero to beautiful in just a whip. Foster Hobbs Coffee Roasters in High Point. A sip of heaven that took a right turn at delicious and landed in the hearts of coffee lovers everywhere. With its fresh specialty roasted beans crafted to order, each cup is a journey from smooth blends to bold global roast. Only Foster Hobbs could brew this kind of magic, and it's called coffee. Now available at fosterhobbs.com. Brew your bliss today.
Hey, this is Dana Lash. I am so done with people being offended. I don't think that there's such a thing as being offended. I just think you're a pansy. I think that you're weak and that you are not made to go out and mingle with the public. So until you harden up, you need to keep your ass back in your house because you are ruining it for the rest of us. If you're in comedy, there are certain times when you should be able to read the room and know this is going to hit and this isn't. So don't miss The Dana Show, weekday afternoons at 2 with me, Dana Lash, on News Talk Sports for the Triad, WSJS.
Your neighbor's on the mic, which means you're listening to Waking Up Proud.
We are back on Waking Up Proud here on WSJS, and we are joined by the head men's basketball coach, Dustin Kerns of the App State Mountaineers. And don't forget, we carry Mountaineer Talk on this station, so be sure to tune in to that. Coach Kerns, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for joining us and taking the time, especially a guy like yourself that's got to be busy. Not only is it just a hectic time of the year, getting closer to the holidays, of course, but your team came off of a victory last night over the ECU Pirates, 67-54. You just got back from that game on the road, and you're also getting set for a game against High Point University coming up on Sunday. So thanks for taking the time to squeeze us in here. What's your thoughts about the team so far this season as, like I said, you're coming off of the latest win?
Yeah, we've had a really challenging schedule. Obviously, High Point is going to add to that challenging schedule. But, a lot of travel, and we've got some new pieces. Sometimes it takes you a little while to figure things out. We've had some injuries, things like that. So overall, some really bright moments and some moments that we can improve from. But, just trying to get ready for Sun Belt play. We've still got 2 non-conference games before Sun Belt now, but this is the last one. We start Sun Belt play next week, and then we've got another MAC Challenge game in February. But just trying to play really good opponents and get ourselves ready for Sun Belt.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned trying to play those really solid opponents. I am personally a big proponent of in-state teams that are good, solid mid-majors trying to play one another. You, I'm sure, are much more versed in this than I would be, but at the mid-major level, trying to really get a quad one or power five school to try to put you on their schedule, that's a tough thing to do the way that the current setup is aligned. And have you found that to be the case and true?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, there's 17 Division I schools in North Carolina. People don't realize that, right? And so we're playing 7 this year. And so playing in state is very, and strategic and important for us with our fan base and alumni here in the state. But also, to your point, we want to play really good people to, put ourselves in position to get better for Sun Belt play. And, I think you become a little bit of a victim of your own success sometimes. This is the winningest stretch in App State basketball history. And so you end up playing really good programs like High Point, because they're really successful. They're not getting a lot of phone calls. Hey, we want to play. And so I think good programs play good programs.
I'm excited to talk with you a little bit about that High Point game as we look forward. But just real quick, I do want to look backwards since you guys did have that win against ECU. Final score 67-54 for the App State Mountaineer fans listening. Kaysen Jennings had a really good game, another really good game. Could you talk about his play for your team so far?
Yeah, Kaysen's an older guy. He's played a lot of basketball. And so he also works hard. So he's putting the work in. And so I just think the game rewards it. And so, proud of him and, his success and, as he continues to, his last season of college basketball. But, Kaysen's a guy that's in the gym, he's working, takes it very serious. And so, happy for his success.
Now, against ECU, guys had the lead the entire game, never really had to look back. Is that something with a quick turnaround like you'll have coming up against High Point? Does that make it a little bit easier as a coach? You kind of feel like, okay, there's not too much here that we really have to worry about scrambling to fix, so to speak.
Well, yeah, there's still some things that we've got to work on at App State. I will say that, last night when you're on the road, we did lead the whole game. However, they did cut it to 1 there in the second half, and it was a back and forth game there for a while, and that's what you expect all coach teams to do, especially on their home court, is respond. We did get out to a really good start, which was important and kind of maybe made a difference in the game. But, sometimes playing games helps you, right? And so, I think today will be certainly a lighter day for us, but, getting some game reps, seeing some guys have some successful can help you for your next game and a quick turnaround like High Point, sure.
As you referenced, High Point coming to Hickory, this game being kind of a neutral site on a home and home that you guys have shared. And that game is on Sunday afternoon. So we got a day here to try to get prepped for that one. What have you noticed about High Point as you've kind of started to prep for them?
Well, a really well-coached team, a very talented team. A team that obviously went to the NCAA tournament last year, won the Big South regular season, won the Big South tournament, in preseason favorite again. And so you've got a real confident team. This was something. So, how this game came about, once again, we talk about both programs probably, phones are not ringing to get games. But because High Point's been good before last year, and App State, we've got a growing campus, we've got a growing applications, and so we've opened up a Hickory campus that we continue to grow during the holiday season. Doesn't make as much sense to play non-conference home games where the students are not here. And so every other year we are trying to play a game in Hickory where we've got a large fan base and now a campus. And so playing last year in the G League facility in Greensboro, right down the road from High Point. So it was a neutral agreement. And this is something that we're trying to hopefully continue to do with other teams, especially around the state. And so But, High Point is a really talented offensive team. 48th fastest offense in the country, playing a lot of possessions. And so they've got a really talented group, the really 1 through 5. And so we're going to have our hands full here with a quick turnaround, but we're certainly, not scared of the challenge.
Yeah, you may recall better than I was at the App State High Point game in the Swarm facility a year ago, and you guys had a pretty solid lead in the second half of that game. High Point had to scramble and make a lot of things happen, which turns out to be eerily similar to what High Point had to do in the Big South Championship game, coming back from 15 down to win that and make their first NCAA tournament berth. That type of game, the way it ended up for you all, I know today with the transfer portal and players going all over the place, I don't know if it affects as much, but does that give extra inspiration to say, okay, we just lost a tough one to this team a season ago. Let's kind of return favor with this game?
Certainly that'll definitely be part of the conversation. I think that when you're dealing with young people, they don't quite always look at it the way that we do. Right. And so, especially some new guys in locker room. We did have some guys who were part of that game. And so, I think that our guys know that we're playing a really good opponent, and, we will start our team with High Point here this afternoon. And, since we got back last night, but, we know that, I think our guys will understand that we're playing a really good opponent that's played in the NCAA tournament, more than likely going to play again in the NCAA tournament. And so, we're turning the quote favor or things like that. I think that, certainly those guys in the locker room that were there last year can help explain, what this game means.
I appreciate you being kind to me, Coach. I am an HP alum, so I'll be excited to be there in Hickory for this matchup. I'll try to give you a hard time if I see you a little bit, and and make some light of what is sure to be a really good game. What other than that would you like to kind of see as you roll right out of this, as you already mentioned, into that Sun Belt play?
Yeah, I just think that playing a really good team, you should get better from it, right? And hopefully a win propels some confidence and, some confirmation on some things. But, if we're able to win this game, this would be our best win of the season, right? Like, this is a really good team, a really good program, a well-coached team. And so we have a lot of respect for High Point. And so you can get a lot of things from it, right? And so, certainly this is going to be a game that is going to be really challenging on us. The way they play in transition, how fast the pace and stuff they play, it's going to be, something that's going to present some challenges. So we hope to improve from it, but obviously get some confidence from it with hopefully a win.
App State head coach Dustin Kerns with us here, Waking Up Proud. We appreciate you taking the time as you're squeezing in between these two games, and looking forward to see you on Sunday.
Stephen, great to be on here and Waking Up Proud, and look forward to seeing you on Sunday, and hopefully a classic, maybe some sort of Sports Center moment that promotes the High Point App State game even more. Hopefully that Sports Center moment is in our favor.
That was head coach of the Mountaineers, Dustin Kerns, as App State gets set to play High Point University coming up tomorrow afternoon, that game in Hickory. And as you heard, Coach says that one is going to be their best win, or would be their best win, if they find a way to beat my beloved Panthers. I said I'm going to give them a hard time. I'll be there at that game and looking forward to it. App State coming in 6-5 on the season. Like I said, they just most recently beat ECU. High Point has had a full week off for exams. Their players, more hard work in the classroom than playing games, but they are coming off of a win against NJIT. They're 8-2 on the season. Should be a good rematch from a game that, like I said, had lots to it in Greensboro last year. And if you're interested in following up with that game, be sure to listen to the Proud Panthers podcast. That is on proudsports.com. We got more for you here on Waking Up Proud.
The season we are enjoying is, of course, the season of giving. But the one gift that surpasses all others, the one that is by far the greatest to give and surely the greatest to receive, is the gift of love. Because we have received this gift, and we most certainly have the capacity to give it. I wish you peace and comfort during this glorious holiday season, but most of all, I wish you love.
High Point University, the premier life skills university, is ranked the #1 best-run college in America by the Princeton Review. Employers value HPU's real-world preparation. Students love unprecedented access to global leaders on High Point's inspiring campus. And parents appreciate HPU's God, family, and country values. Choose to be extraordinary at High Point University.
They work together like a well-oiled machine. Avalon Express Lube and Service, led by quarterback Mac Allen. His team of ASE-certified technicians tackle oil changes, tires, transmission work, brake repair, and inspections. And yes, there's a state-of-the-art car wash, too. Located on Highway 66 South in Kernersville, Avalon Express Lube and Service is a proud supporter of high school athletics in the Triad. For top-tier service, visit Haviland Express Lube and Service, where teamwork drives results.
Life's hustle got you down? What if there was a place where passion and excitement collide, where the roar of the crazies fills the air and champions are forged? Welcome to Duke Basketball, where brotherhood is built and every game is an electrifying experience. From Cameron Indoor to the World, join John Shire and his Blue Devils in their thrilling march. Feel the rush. Live the legacy. Catch every game on WSJS, and the complete Duke basketball schedule is at WSJS.com.
When your home deserves the best, trust Clemens Carpet to deliver. As your Shaw Floors dealer, they provide flooring solutions for every home and lifestyle. From strong, durable hardwoods to luxurious carpet, their quality products last for years. Enjoy one-on-one expert advice on the latest trends. Unlike big box stores, they're locally owned, locally invested. Visit them at 2701 Louisville Clemens Road in Clements. Discover a premier flooring experience today. Step up to quality at Clemens Carpet.
Hi everyone, Brian Kilmeade here. I'm so excited to bring the latest breaking news, sports, politics, and entertainment to High Point, to Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and beyond. Tell me what you want. So join me weekday mornings at 10 right here on your home for the Brian Kilmeade Show. News, talk, sports, the Triad, WSJS.
A little grits, a lot of grit. You're waking up proud on WSJS.
It is Waking Up Proud. Thanks for being with us this morning on WSJS, getting you set and ready for another Saturday out there. And I don't want you to miss anything. Part of who I am, I just want you to jump out of bed just like I do and just sprint out the door. So this is what you got to be on the lookout for.
Hot off the prowl with Stephen Beck.
Coming up immediately after Waking Up Proud, here is more high school football. If you missed it, we have Dave Pulaski on with us earlier, breaking down what happened last night as Grimsley defeated Clayton to win another championship for the Whirlies, and the final score of that game was 24-14. But coming up, don't miss Reedsville taking on Brevard. Reedsville, a true dynasty at this point, from my understanding, limited, albeit, of high school football. At a different level, the Carolina Panthers really control their own destiny. They play the Saints coming up this weekend. And at this point, because of the gift that the Falcons gave to the Panthers, they just got to take care of their own business, and they'll win the NFC South. And as I look out the window of the studio this morning, it is a beautiful North Carolina day today. but a little concerned. Right now, it's looking like wind's going to start rolling in. Might want to drip some faucets. I don't know. That's what they say if it's going to be super, super cold, which it appears that it is going to be that starting out the week. But then, funny enough, and this is typical North Carolina, right? It's going to go from bone-chilling cold to, I'm already seeing next weekend, it's going to be abnormally warm. So next time you and I visit a week from now here on Waking Up Proud, be having a completely different story for that. But I do have a story that is dueling, just like it seems like the North Carolina weather is going to be. Dueling Costco stories. We have Costco here in the Triad. I have to go visit them and get some advertising money from them after this. But all of this dueling information, none of it makes any sense to me, really. This last week, a Costco shopper posted some photos online. That's become a custom of many people. They want you to know what they're doing. So here, look and see what I've been up to. And for this shopper, she had been at Costco, taking in the scenes, and stumbled upon some stuffed animals that were holding branded snack and food items, like a big old plush, maybe it's called a Squishamallow. I've heard that from my daughters before, but they were holding like a Subway sandwich or a Pringles can. They were holding food items. And she took a picture, posted it online, and before you know it, the whole internet was exploding over how upsetting these Squishamallow or stuffed plush animals are holding cans of Pringles or a Subway sandwich. Because it should, quote, be illegal, they say, targeting my child with this type of marketing. What I haven't really understood exactly from this is two things. One, Costco primarily is all about food in my experience. So seeing a couple of stuffed animals also having food associated with it, that's kind of ironic. But also, I don't know that that's the worst marketing to kids that is inappropriate and upsetting that I've personally ever seen. And like I said, I've got a couple of young kids and I've seen things and I'm like, whoa, I don't know that that's exactly what they're ready for at that age. Food necessarily isn't one of the ones that really makes me that upset. But where you have people angry and pitchforking over the plush animals at Costco, this is where the real surprise is for me. You've got others immensely adamant over the food court. Costco's food courts tell us that they've achieved record sales numbers during the holiday stretch. Part of it was due to pies for Thanksgiving, but this is more impressive to me. Costco sold 358,000 whole pizza pies on Halloween. And one employee said that their location was planning on doing 900 pizzas in a day, one customer ordering 90 of them. Since when did Costco become a takeout place for pizza? And it's funny, my wife and I were doing a run, and there were people, customers, just beelining for that food court and rolling out of there with a pizza box. And that's it. But what I can't come to grips with is why Costco and the food court has a fascination over it. Now, the cost associated with it, like $1.50 hot dog, that's always been a big thing. And I get that is low cost. I think that's great. But you know why? The ambiance sure is one of those things that you're paying for that goes with it. You go up to the stand, you get your hot dog. In this case, a lot of people getting their pizzas. And if you're eating there, You're in the midst of a traffic flow of people trying to get out the door, trying to get their carts checked, and I trying to just enjoy my food here. And instead, it's like I'm in a mad subway rush of people trying to get to and from their certain destinations. I never really have gotten a clear understanding over how Costco is the place for that. 777-1600. What do you buy at Costco? And is their pizza really that good? I'm a pizza guy. I love pizza and try to eat pizza weekly, honestly. But I never really have thought, man, yeah, I've got a hankering for pizza. I'm going to go solely to Costco for that takeout option. What I am more certain on today, as we get set for this weekend, is that former NC State quarterback, Phillip Rivers, he is a dog. He is the guy. And Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, and their decision to bring him back makes a ton of sense. Way better than some alternative options that are out there. And one of those guys is former Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton. He was disrespected because they didn't call him. I don't know why. I completely understand why they wouldn't have chosen him, but this is what he said on 4th and 1 in his podcast this week.
Did Phillip Rivers send any type of signs that he was available? Why you asking me to do something that everybody else didn't do? I ain't no lad, bro. Come on, bro.
He's retired. You ain't even retired.
I did not and will not because of an opportunity like this.
Now, when he was with the Carolina Panthers, I was a big Cam Newton fan. In fact, go on record right now to say I would choose Cam over Bryce Young any day of the week, but not at this point. Not at this point in his career, although he is just 36. His last time with the Panthers, that was enough for me. As enough I needed to see. He played 8 games, went 1-7. He was released midseason. It just wasn't good. While he is yelling and screaming into a microphone, akin to what I like to do here with you on Waking Up Proud on Saturday mornings, he's got a whole circus sideshow act. And honestly, that's just who Cam Newton is to me. But to an NFL franchise in the hunt of a playoff berth, if you have the chance to go out and get a quarterback like Rivers, who the last time he put on the pads for you went 11-5, threw for over 4,000 yards, got you to the playoffs, had a passer rating of 97, and all signs are showing in practice right now that he's slinging it and he's leading the guys, and you know that he's going to be amped up and ready to rock with his trash talking and leadership and all the other things that you get that way. Anything that becomes a story with Phillip Rivers is going to be between the lines. If he performs and he leads them to a victory this weekend, because I really am positive he'll start. The very interesting part with that is his whole Hall of Fame clock resets. But for Phillip, I don't think it's about Hall of Fames. I don't think it's about money. I think it's really just about getting out there with the boys and strapping it on one more time. He's been yearning for that as a coach of high school football. And now he gets to go back into the top level of football, playing in a series where if he does what they need to do, much like our Carolina Panthers, they have a chance at getting to the playoffs as well. So the Colts, good on you. You made a good decision. I'm looking forward to seeing that game with the Panthers game coming up this weekend. Lots of football here on WSJS, including just after we get finished up here. Stay where you are and listen as Dave Pulaski brings us another championship game in high school football. Reidsville, Brevard, that is coming up next right here on WSJS. Meanwhile, follow us, ProudSports.com, and we'll see you next time here on Waking Up Proud.
Hello, Triad. This is Todd Starnes, and I'm so happy to have you be a part of the Todd Starnes Show family in the Triad. Each weekday, we've got you covered with the latest on politics, faith, and culture news, along with the top newsmakers